welcome today. What's the date today?
November 13th. Friday the 13th.
Oh, it's Friday the 13th, and this is a Splinterlands AMA. Matt and Aggroed are here in our company headquarters in Media, Pennsylvania, and we've spent this entire day trying to figure out the land, the guild tournaments, guild prizes, like how crafting is going to work, how land placement is going to work, how different guild buildings will work. I mean, the whole map or the whole thing is just up on these boards, and it's been a really good powwow. So that's been it. I feel like this has been a really productive day, and it's going to give us enough to start planning around some of the next key steps of what's going to happen here. I see a couple questions. So, Matt, anything you want to share just in general before we get into AMA style questions? Anything you want to talk through?
I mean, not specifically, but all the stuff Aggroed just mentioned that we're working on is, in our opinion, pretty exciting.
Yeah.
We know that you guys have shown some excitement for land, to say the least, and we think we're gonna deliver something pretty darn cool for that over the next year or so.
Yeah, we have some pieces that we haven't publicly stated because they came out of discussions today that we're just stoked about. I think we're breaking new ground, and I'm excited to be a part of this. All right, so I see a question from Madgoal. Will it ever be possible to put cards on sale by DEC and not by USD? I'm not sure.
Oh, price them in dark energy crystals instead of dollars? I mean, I'm not sure. On our market, we price them in US dollars just because it makes it a lot easier for people. It's just easier. People don't have to worry about exchange rates, or what if the dark energy crystal price changes and they have cards listed now, they get sold for too little or too much. But I mean, the thing is, anyone can make their own marketplaces for other currencies. I mean, you could trade them on OpenSea, and they'll be on Hive engine at some point for Hive and Wax. So, someone could make a DEC card market that would be separate from the current in-game one. I'm not sure we really want to change the in-game one from USD just because it's much more user-friendly, especially for non-crypto people.
All right, Moriarty here is asking, will it be possible to somehow determine in which track the castle is located without claiming plots? So if a pool decides on one person getting the castle, they can give them the right track before revealing the land.
I don't want to say yes or no to that at this time.
But that's sort of like some of the specific instructions people give us as we sort of go through placement.
Yeah, I mean, in general, we want to be as accommodating as possible as we can to what people want to do here and how pools want to distribute things. So, I mean, I would like to do that, but we'll see once we get to how everything's going to work with distributing the land and the specific locations before I want to say like certain.
Yeah. So we're agreeable in theory, and then we would get to actually how it'll happen. We'll have we might run into technical concerns, but we'll see how that goes. Will it be advantageous to have your plot near the castle keep? And what are your ideas on their purpose?
No, I don't think. I think it's just anything in the same tract gets benefits from the keep, and anything in the region gets benefits from a castle, regardless of its location relative to the castle or keep. Do you want to talk about kind of the ideas on the purpose?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a couple different ways to use the castle, and one of the things that I'm really excited about is getting players to stake dark energy crystals into the castle, and some of that is needed just to upgrade the building. But then after the sort of standard building upgrades, then it's about competition with the other players. And by sort of, we'll have some resources that go out to the people that are staking dark energy crystals. And if your castle is staking the most, then you might start seeing various benefits that happen.
Yeah, so I'd look at it like, it's competition sort of between regions. So everyone in a region can add dark energy crystals into their region's pool, which like organized around the castle building. And then, based on how much of the total pool of all the lands together your region contributes, you get that portion of the rewards there. So, it's up to each region and all the participants of each region to decide how much dark energy crystals they want to stake into that global pool, and then it benefits everyone in the region based on that.
We're still floating around. What is the prize for doing that? What is the pooled resource? And how much of it will there be, and how you get it, and what are the long-term impacts of doing all that? But I think in theory, the having all of the regions competing to so that whichever region is putting in the most into the castle is going to get the most benefit. And then of course there's all these other little things that might impact it, like what summoners are staked, what monsters are staked, is there gear that's there, what other components are happening at that time, is your building upgraded all the way? There's like a trillion things that we hope all impact that, but at the core it is a competition to see who can stake the most dark energy crystals with all those bonuses, and they'll be the primary recipients of prizes and loot from the Splinterlands game.
Yeah, and similar, there'll be like smaller pools of dark energy crystals or potentially other resources that can go into keeps by anyone in the tract. And then the idea is that the owner, whoever actually owns the plot with the castle or the keep, gets like a higher benefit or percent of the.
So in order for you to actually make any money, you have to charge slightly above that. So your minimum that you take in has to be 0.002, and then because that's their minimum that they charge for. It's a minimum that they charge for their rental contracts. Several participants in arena tournaments have discussing ways of streamlining and improving the entrance fees to tournaments. Would you care to elaborate? Yeah, I mean, I know that this is still a little bit contentious of how having both collection power and entrance fees. Collection power for tournaments in particular, I've generally settled around whatever the payout is. That's the maximum that I would make the dark energy crystals or your collection power. And I feel like that's pretty fair. If you want the chance to own 100,000 dark energy crystals basically weekly, then you have to stake that much. And I feel like that's a pretty reasonable spot to be in for the fungibles, or not for the fungibles, for the standard foil cards. For the gold foil cards, it works a little differently. The streamline there is that we look at what is the maximum collection power that is allowed in the tournament, and then I set it to 10%. And some of the early, like the really low level gold foils, kind of break that. So I'm a lot more flexible in like novice and bronze tournaments than I am when you scale up. So there it's generally 10% of the cards, and then there's some forgiveness. And then lastly, for entrance fees, the tournaments remain free to play, But if you don't meet the requirements, I added an entrance fee. And these entrance fees have been around for a while, but recently I've increased them some, and I put it as 1% of the payout, and I kept that for basically all tournaments except for the novice and bronze, which bronze I halved, and novice I basically did away with any kind of collection power. I think it's 1,000 or something really, really tiny. And I did that, honestly, it's kind of like, if you want to get in for free, you have to do the work, you have to have the collection power, and you have to hit the league. And if you don't do all those things, then I feel like, why should you get special entry into these things where all these other people have done all the work? So, you're allowed to, but you have to pay some sort of entrance. And the number that I settled on was 1% of the payout. And I feel like that's a pretty low bar for not meeting the requirements to get into the tournament. So that's where that came in. I feel like, I had some calculation errors in the first one. The second one, I know that I have at least one calculation error. A lot of this stuff is still done by hand, and it's only really the second time that I've tweaked the gold foil tournament requirements. But that's the kind of big picture. Those are some of the guidelines that I use. It was to stake in standard foils, the collection power equaled the payout. To get what is the cost to join if you don't meet it, it was 1% of the payout. And in gold foil tournaments, I targeted what are all the cards, and you need 10% of them. So I feel like those are some pretty decent targets that I thought were pretty friendly and allowed to scale across all the different ranges. Question, can we trade in a legendary totem for, say, 10 epic totems for the pools to split up?
Yeah, I think, again, since we talked about that we want to encourage the pools and having them be able to do what they want to do, that's something that we plan to allow, and there'll be more details in January when the totems are actually released for that.
Have you figured out the land card rarity, 1%, 4%, 20%, 75%?
We haven't done any numbers yet,
Yeah.
but we're probably going to at least start with that and, go with something very similar to those numbers unless there's a good reason not to.
Yeah, those are kind of in the ballpark. So I guess the summoner cards are the kings of the castles, kings or queens, I meant to say. Please forgive me for the momentary loss of PC filters. Yeah, the summoner, you're basically going to have to go stake your summoners and monsters into all of these new buildings to get the most out of them. So, you'll put your monsters in, and it'll take some time, and then you'll start seeing, Sparkstone or ore or green start showing up in your balances.
Yeah, so you got to put your unused cards to work in your mines, literally.
Maybe you can have different levels of badges for the castles. So when people battle that castle, they could earn that badge, and there could be tournaments that require certain badges. You could do like novice badge and silver. Yeah, badges. This is kind of like the Pokemon gym badge or something. So that's it. That stuff I think is kind of neat. I don't think it's quite essential to just getting the thing off the ground. So badges are a sort of like a luxury that I think might get added later, but they're not immediately critical. Do you have any new plans with the SBT token? I feel like it isn't connected enough to the game. Yeah, so I think we're going to try to get some kind of skins thing going. And have the skins be paid for with the SBT token. And it's possible that maybe there's some utility for these skins that's still kind of to be worked out, but I can imagine that if you own the skin and you use that monster on a land, you're going to get some small benefit to like how much time it takes to make a thing. So any thoughts on that?
I mean, I'd say the primary thing we would do with SPT tokens would be like cosmetic items in the game, stuff like that. But we'll see.
Yeah, maybe. But I do think that it's in the works, or it's kind of like we're finally getting to that. Like, as we move these things off the checklist and into the done column, and various parts of done, of the design is done, the first layout's done, the mock-ups are done, the actual code is done. As we kind of clear stuff out, we can get to some of these other cool ideas. So that's there. If bronze, silver, Biz is asking if bronze, silver, gold players have to pay higher tournament fees because they chose not to advance, then why isn't there a champion category of tournament where diamond players have to pay higher entry fees to enter champion level tournaments? So that's not currently available as a selection. I asked Matt if we could add that. He was on board today. So I think that's going to be there. You argue that those who choose to stay in lower levels are clubbing baby seals, when in fact those at the top of the bronze, silver, gold leaderboards actually have accounts appropriate to their league limits, and the competition is light because the weaker accounts are advancing. I don't think that's a question. So I don't know how to answer that. Isn't it an exploit that 1 minute before the end of a season, those not in the top X to win a booster can advance to the higher league to get extra loot chests?
No, I mean, I don't consider that an exploit. That's just, I mean, if you have the collection power to be in a higher league, that's the amount of loot chests, you can get. And I mean, it doesn't matter when. I mean, I don't know. I don't consider that an exploit, as in we set up the collection power requirements and the amount of loot chests you're able to get for them. So, if you were able to get more than that, then yes, that would be an exploit. But otherwise, I don't really see that as a problem.
Since everyone who can't make it to the top X in their appropriate leaderboard might as well advance higher if possible, doesn't this actually contribute to a less competitive environment in the lower leagues, since people are just going to maximize their loot chests? I mean, the goal has to be to make it so that you are most incentivized to be in the highest league in which you are the most competitive. So having some tournament entry fees, having different amounts of loot chests, having the various rewards like the DEC that you earn, all of that should be aligned so that players receive the most benefit when they are the highest league, and they choose to be there. And if I don't think it's a problem if players want to be in lower leagues, but the incentives should not put them there. I mean, if you would rather play decks that are a little bit less competitive so that you can have a higher win rate and feel better, I think that should be an option. I just don't want there to be, if there's ever incentive to be gold instead of diamond when you have a diamond level deck, but you are financially incentivized to stay gold, not just because of play experience, but because you'll actually earn more, I think that would be a mistake on our point. Why do lower league players have to pay exorbitant amounts to enter higher league tournaments, but higher league tournaments don't have to pay extra to enter lower league tournaments? The main argument you have posted are traditionalist. It has always been that way, or they paid for the ability to compete at lower levels. Why can't the system charge higher league players more DEC when entering lower league tournaments? I think that's appropriate for something like novice or bronze, but if you've purchased the cards, then I think it's fair that you're able to have them nerfed and play in a silver league tournament.
I'd be open to trying something like that. I look at the tournaments as sort of like ongoing experiments, and also I think there's two scenarios. I think one, it's like fun and good for higher level players to be able to play in tournaments where their cards are limited to lower levels. So the sort of differences between like a silver tournament that's geared toward, players with lower level collections versus a silver tournament that's for everyone to just give higher level players the experience of playing with cards at lower levels. So I'd totally be open to experimenting with certain tournaments where like, it's either only open to certain leagues, or whether if you're outside of those leagues, you have to pay more or whatever it is. I mean, I feel like that's the type of thing we could experiment with and see if people like it and how it goes. It doesn't have to be like one way or the other for everything.
I mean, the challenge there is that anything that would discourage players from buying and having the maximum level cards and getting the most use case out of it is generally deterring people from buying your collection. And I don't love that idea. Maybe there are some smart ways to do that, and maybe there's some good balances, and sprinkling that in, I think, could be good. I just wouldn't want that to be ubiquitous. If you have the cards, you can get them nerfed and you can compete. I think that makes the most sense, except again in novice and bronze, where that's really not meant to be, super competitive, hardcore mode, fight to the death. That's meant to be sort of, let's celebrate some new users coming into the community.
Yeah, I don't know. I say we maybe experiment with it here and there.
All right, well, we'll see where that goes. The people of Beulah Rock have heard of changes to how mystery potions are being brewed. Supposedly there are now different effects. Is it possible to elaborate on these changes?
Yeah, the change is that since the Dricken not sold out, but is out of print, we've instead switched to giving out land plots, guaranteed 5 plots every day, to 5 different mystery potion holders, for a total of 1,000 land plots or one region over 200 days. And I think it was KioKiz did a analysis of that and showed that it was actually, far more profitable, for people to invest in mystery potions, or not invest, but for people to pick up mystery potions at this point. You have a better chance of getting more valuable rewards as a result of this. But it's just now it's turned into a way for people to get land plots instead, and you have a much higher chance of actually getting one since there's 5 a day versus 1 mystery card every other day.
Question, did you get a new mic? You hear no fan or constant background noise.
Well, that's because I'm not at home. I wish I had my fan because it's hot in here. But we are at our local office doing a land design powwow today.
Anything new you can share regarding Guild Wars? Matt and I were working on what the prizes will be in the shop, trying to put in some thoughts on some overpowered cards that can only be used in Guild Wars and only if they've been purchased by the guild, how the different buildings will kind of interact with each other, and generally how the prizes work and upgrading the buildings and how much time and work and effort that's going to be and what else has to happen in there. So, just the big picture is going to be, you'll have a guild and you'll hit Brawl, and over the next 3 days, you'll be teamed up with other guilds and you guys will start fighting. It'll be kind of like Royal Rumble style, or I don't really know what to call this, where you get a whole bunch of up to 10 guilds in the same brawl together. And it's a big stinking anytime tournament. Question, are you concerned that the HIVE blockchain might not be able to handle...
There's a question before that.
Can we stake 550 singles of one card type in the land, or does it have to be combined?
TBD.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Singles should work.
Yeah, I would guess.
But, level 1 cards and max level cards are going to have a different value. So if you want to own, one card and stake that same card everywhere, you're not going to get the maximum benefits.
Right, but he's saying instead of a max level card, what if he doesn't want to combine the cards?
Right. So
could you use 400 of the same common card in the same building versus one max level common
They'll
card?
be kind of like in battles. There'll be like a max number of slots. So you could use 3 of the same card, although that's still TBD. But it's our job to make sure that having the max level cards provide more value than having the lower level cards. All right, so back to this question. Are you concerned that the HIVE blockchain might not be able to handle transactions if the game attracts 2 to 3 times the current players? I see plenty of people have flees and surrenders because of, I presume, blockchain issues now. What happens when more players come aboard?
Well, I mean, for one, the HIVE blockchain itself can handle way, way, way more than the current level of transactions. So I'm not worried about that. As far as specific HIVE blockchain nodes having issues, so people can't get transactions through, and it's hard to tell, when people have flees and surrenders, what exactly the issue is, because there could be a number of things. But I've been working on a better system for handling submitting transactions to the HIVE blockchain for a long time, and it just keeps getting bumped by land sales and various other things that are happening. But at some point soon, and definitely before we grow significantly, I think we'll have a much better system to just ensure that your transactions get broadcast no matter what. So it's not the HIVE blockchain itself. It's more just how different players, they either use the game or they use keychain or they use HIVE signer. And that's, so all of these different tools can also have various issues. So there's a lot going on. So I'm trying to make one system where it's just one way that we can ensure that all the transactions get broadcast, through our own nodes or our own servers, regardless of whatever tools people want to use to manage their keys. I hope that made sense, but it's something we're working on. It's not really a core HIVE blockchain issue, though.
Will the staking of cards on a land plot strictly be calculated with DEC burn rate, or will having a few legendaries on a plot as opposed to the number of commons that equal the DEC rate of those legendaries will be any different? I imagine that different rarity will have different benefits. Will having gold cards on a land plot increase the chances of a gold item or spell being created? Crafting at that level is still TBD, but I imagine that if you have an alpha gold foil legendary on as your monster to harvest, that'll have the best benefit on the land that's harvesting. But the crafting is still a little bit too TBD to answer that.
Yeah, I mean, the high level here is the more rare your card, the better it's going to do. Right, that the exact details of that are TBD, but that's the overall goal. So the idea is that you'll have, it'll just be other, important reasons to have the older, more rare gold foil cards, right? So, they may be good in battle here and there, but even ones that aren't so great in battle, in addition to just being collector's items, if you want to get the maximum production possible out of your land and your buildings, you're going to want those, alpha gold foil legendary cards or whatever. So that's where we're really trying to use that to add additional, utility to those older cards beyond just collector value.
In your opinion, Aggroed, what is the purpose of tournaments and how would you prioritize the following? In the big picture, it's to reward players separately from how we have been rewarding them and give them sort of an extra chance to earn outside of the standard league play and kind of have these more, it's more than just you as an individual. It's kind of this whole battle experience, and then we're going to tie that into the guild experience, and now it really gets to be even more social and broader and bragging rights and other things. And I think, to your question, as I read through the 3 different things that you've asked, four. I think it changes depending on what kind of tournament it is. So trying to get as much participation as possible. I mean, I think that's an important step, is that I want people to participate, and I want to get as much participation as possible, but I want it so that you've earned it. So that if you've earned it, then I think it's great that you're there. And if you haven't earned it, then I think it's important that you pay to honor the fact that other people earned it to be there, or you, I don't know, or you try to get, or that is your new goal. That is the gate that you have to get through to be able to earn that much more money. I feel like that's a nice little, it's a good hoop that helps the entire ecosystem.
I just say all four of them, right? They're all four important. And I think the good thing is, like, you can have different styles of tournaments that cater to those different things.
Yeah, certainly. I'm more towards rewarding players just in general at the lower levels, but at the higher levels, I feel like it's really important to try to identify the best players. So C is prioritized for me at lower levels, and B is prioritized for me at higher levels. And D is everything. Everything about this game starts and ends with it being fun. If it's not fun, then we haven't done our jobs, and the game can't grow. So everything is frankly to me secondary to fun.
Yeah, and people have fun in different ways. So again, I like to see the tournaments like very varied as much as possible, so people can choose which ones they find the most fun.
All right. Does a 5 land plots thing start now with mystery potions?
I think it started today because the last Stricken was yesterday, maybe.
If it's not today, then it should be tomorrow.
Well, no, there's already been mystery potions gone out. Sorry, there's already been land plots gone out for mystery potions.
It starts now, guys.
There was KeoKiz. I think it was KeoKiz made a post about it. I don't want to switch around here while we're doing the AMA and lose my spot. Maybe later I'll get the post link.
Well, the BCX is the same either way, right? No, because the BCX changed. Well, I don't know what he's asking there. I think I like theming if it makes it fun. What's the Ming theming? I can't read Byzantinus. When will reward system be changed? It's brutal to play 1 hour to complete a quest and get useless potions. Now that we've cut a bunch of some of the waste out of the system, do we want to go and look at like how much dark energy crystal reward versus potions versus anything else? Or
yeah, I mean, that's something we can always look at. I mean, people just say useless potions, but I mean, potions, we've mentioned this in the past, but the whole point of potions is to encourage people to buy booster packs, which is an important part of our business model. So, that yes, if you don't ever plan to buy any booster packs, they're useless potions, but that's what we have them there for. And you say it's brutal and the reward system is bad, but I think if you look at the amount of rewards you can gain, and not just potions, but cards and market values of different things that you get, I think it's pretty decent, especially compared to other similar products out there. So it's not a situation where we can just go and we've had issues in the past where we've gone and gave out way too many rewards that the game could handle, and it caused all sorts of problems, and we've had to rein that in recently with collection power, which I know people don't like. But again, it's like, if we had kept that going, the whole thing would have eventually collapsed, and that would be the worst case for everybody. But ultimately, as we add new things, especially with land, there'll be lots of different things that are ways for people to use dark energy crystals and other things in the game. Cards can be used in different ways. That will then allow us to go give out more rewards because the system can handle that. So it has to be, they have to be in tandem with each other. So recently we fixed the ridiculous over rewarding that we have been doing for a long time. And then going forward, as we add new ways to use the currencies and cards, then we can add new rewards in to counteract that.
And Matt said it hasn't been popular. I'm not sure that I'll agree with that, because I think there's certainly been some people, and I would argue that they typically fall to either new players or low-level accounts. They get really angry at these sorts of things, especially when they're applied retroactively. But I think the game is really on a great course these days, and there's a lot of secondary market stuff that looks really strong to me, and I think collection power is a big part of that. We're not dumping. We've cut 30 million dark energy crystals from going into circulation per month through some of these collection power changes, and now the tournament rewards seem to be going to like less random decks and less random accounts playing, and it's a little bit more competitive. These are the ways that I think this game ought to go, where it's competition for resources from a limited pool, and the players that have maximized their time, their skill, and their deck quality are earning the most. And I think there's a lot of good pieces to that. And all right, so Too Curious is asking, I played a bit of a gold league with a very basic account, and to be honest, it was quite silly. 19 out of 20 matches were against players with way lower max gold level cards, or way lower than max gold level cards, giving me +3 points all the time without even having to think. So my question is, would it be better if there would be a level per level of rare summoner, so a max level 5 summoner level and a max level 6 summoner, etc., with higher power requirements?
I'm not sure I understand the last part of that with the power requirements.
Maybe he's saying that the summoner levels need to be tweaked, or like maybe it's not just collection power, but your summoners have to be a certain level.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, overall, it's really hard to. I think it's much better now, whereas previously you'd be playing in like diamond or champion level against all level 1 cards. So it's improving, I think, significantly. And I guess I haven't had your experience specifically, but I assume as you continue getting +3 points all the time until you get higher, toward leaderboard level, the competition should increase, and then potentially you can move to diamond, which should have higher level cards. But it's a hard thing, especially with the number of players we have now, like always matching people up against similar level opponents at all times, 24/7. So I think we're going in the right direction, but we are always, open to feedback and ideas to improve even further. But it's hard. It's a hard balance of like making sure people always have matches. And, do we, if there's someone that's like not a great match, do we just do it because you've already been waiting for 2 minutes, or do we just have you not find a match? And it's programmed to prioritize finding a match at this point. So, it's a little difficult.
With 150,000 land plots to be purchased and possibly hundreds of cards needed for each plot, are you concerned that there are not enough cards to go around? I think you mentioned in a previous AMA that you like having some cards be on the cheaper side, so the price for entry into the game is reasonable.
Yeah, so I don't think we're necessarily planning on having hundreds of cards per plot. I mean, unless you mean combined, to like max level or something. But obviously, that's going to be a major consideration in designing the economy of this. And we want it to be a situation where there are enough of the current set of cards to go around. There are enough untamed cards so all new players can come in and get a reasonable amount of those that they want. But we don't want there to be enough of any of the older sets of cards at all. With getting down to alpha or the old promo cards, there'd be like really not enough.
Yep.
That's the exact purpose of this. So right now, there are some of those older cards where there's not that much utility for them other than like cool collector's values. And we want to make sure that's not the case here. There's just not going to be enough of those alpha golds to go around here.
Ingenuity is saying the biggest complaint I get is useless potions. I see their value, and I was wondering if you could plan on making those tradable on HIVE engine at some point, maybe decrease their issue so they become more sought after.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the potions many, many times, but again, there's a point where if enough people voice concerns about them, it's worth us taking a serious look at that. So that's what I'll say. We will take a serious look at potions and what we can do with them to at least, take away the idea that people are getting useless rewards, which is not our goal.
Can we get dice back in the mystery potions and back in the loot chests?
Yeah, Paul, you've been asking that a bunch to me directly. It's just one of those things like I just haven't had time to get to. I don't see any reason why not. But the squeaky wheel gets the grease, so I'll see what I can do.
All right. Are you guys going to be able to add starts when full tournaments sometime? So he wants a tournament type where.
Where's
this is Stealth Trader at the bottom here. I didn't see any actual questions.
Yeah, no, I just got a text message, so I missed it. Starts when full tournaments.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Ask Cryptomancer, and if he can do it easily, then sure.
Okay. I mean that right now, if I had to decide between starts when full tournament and starts and getting Guild Wars done, I'm infinitely more in favor of Guild Wars. So that's something that I would take Cryptomancer off of until Cryptomancer says, okay, I'm done with starts with full.
I mean, I'm just off the top of my head, it should be a pretty simple thing. Just normally tournaments have a start time. You just have a setting that changes it to when they get the max number of players. So, I don't know. If it's a super easy thing for him, then maybe, but otherwise, yeah, not until after Guild Wars.
I mean, my problem with it is that I've like personally hosted. I have a aggroed witness benefit tournament, and where I even put in half the pot. These starts when full tournaments are really about kind of like the ability to get into the game or host a game and distribute rewards from all the players that are registering for that tournament. And while I think it's cool, the times that I've done it and I've splashed the pot with like half of the pot personally, I still didn't see full matches. So until that demand, I know that there's a couple guys that are really excited about it, but I just don't think that there's enough demand overall for me to actually prioritize it. Even if it could be done, I just feel like that would help 9 players in the game and everybody else wouldn't use it right now. So when will beta get the 5% boost for DEC for ranked play? Make beta great again?
Yeah, that was discussed today, so I think it's getting to be about time for that. I mean, I was originally thinking when we got to the point of, near Untamed selling out, but, that may still be a while for now, so I think
we're close.
Yeah, getting to be time for that.
Has it been considered to have sit and go tournaments? That's kind of what the start when they fill thing is. Regular foil and gold foil, 1 entry per account. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just not again, there's a handful of people that like that. And then when it came time to actually join the tournament, I didn't see a lot of people. Also, having like 1 million tournaments isn't always great for us. Like, it's fine if other people are kind of hosting them. And it's possible that there's some big tournaments that some of the partners that we've been talking to are interested in hosting some pretty big tournaments. We'll see if that even materializes, but I don't know. I'm not dying to see like 30 million of these tournaments until I see it from the players that they want it so badly that they'll make the tournaments and they'll do the thing and play the matches. But again, when I splashed half the pot, I didn't see it. So did the Splinterlands landsale suffer from a DDoS attack?
I don't believe so. So my theory, and I'm not really an expert in this regard, but when the sale started, there was a bunch of stuff that happens on the server, and I think it just kind of slowed down for like a second, and at the same exact time, like every single person that was sitting there on the screen was like automatically requesting the land sale info, like how many plots were available. So all those messages coming in kind of got queued up since there was like a couple second delay, and then it had to go process all those messages. And since there was like a little delay in doing that, everyone started refreshing madly, and it kind of snowballed out of control, is my assessment of the situation. So obviously, since we're doing a full lottery system for the next round, that should not be an issue. And we're also working on just in general for any other types of events like that, adding more servers that are load balanced and things. So, if one server gets backed up, there's backups and things like that. But yeah, we shouldn't have any issues like that going forward doing the lottery system instead.
Flavi's asking, do you have any concepts for boss monster fights we'll reward the players and guilds with? I'm currently thinking that, you're going to need plans to make certain items and spells in your factories. And I imagine that some of those plans will be dropped by boss monsters. It's possible that there'll be soul-bound items and soul-bound spells, or maybe even soul-bound cards that you can only get when killing that boss. And things like that might be just for guild participation, rather than messing with like the very carefully balanced game that we have in sort of general ranked. Because then it gets to a point where you like force everybody to do guilds, and that's probably not fair to those that just want to play by themselves. But yeah, we're still a couple months away from that. I know I want boss fights soon, but now that we're getting into guild tournaments, we're targeting. I was initially targeting trying to get it done before the end of the year. That's now moving more towards like a stretch goal than more of our target goal. I think the target goal for guild tournaments is Q1 of 2021, but there is a non-zero chance that we kind of figure out the last bits of this, and it's not quite as hard as we thought. But I think that's still going to take it. It's very likely to take us through the end of the year, especially with the holidays, and probably leak into early next year. Question: in addition to beta question, will there be beta alpha only tournaments?
Are there not those?
I don't have alpha betas. I have alpha tournaments. And I haven't done alpha betas. I've basically been waiting for beta to get the 5%, and then maybe treat that separately. So I have current editions, there's alpha editions, and until beta got that 5%, I've basically been punting on that. But something like that.
So yes, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's mostly a yes. Although one challenge I have is that I'm slightly over the our tournament fund that we'd said. I'm already like a couple $100 per week over. So if I add another tournament, I either have to strip prizes from something, and I don't know.
How much do we put into tournaments every week?
It's about 2,700, 2,800. Actually, no, because that's what it's supposed to be, and I'm like $200 to $300 over.
Yeah, I mean, so just to be clear, like we are putting in
$3,000,
around $3,000 a week as tournament prizes, and that's actual like money we're putting up. Like we don't print dark energy crystals for that. We either have to get them from sales of things, or buy them on the market, which we've done considerably over the past year. So just, I don't know, something to keep in mind.
Yep. And the last is Nate in the call.
He is in, yeah.
Syria is asking. In the last AMA, it was mentioned that Nate would keep some mock-ups ready to share for this AMA. So if you have Nate, if you've got anything that you want to share, this could be a good time. Let's go. I'm going to stop at these last 4 questions. So Scott will be the last question that I answer, and then maybe you can unmute Nate, because I think he's muted in here.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Can I do that?
Yeah, you should be able to. You're a wizard. Any thoughts on having tournaments where everyone gets a max deck to play, so people can see what it's like to play a max deck, which could encourage card sales? How tricky do you think that is?
Uh, yeah, I don't think that's too hard to do.
It's like
We just have
Neil's
to.
stock deck tournament.
Yeah, I mean, of all of these things are like there's lists of hundreds of ideas, and it's really a matter of you know what do we spend our time doing. So yeah, I don't know. I like the idea. Sounds great. Doesn't sound too difficult. Can't guarantee
Yeah.
when or if that might get in.
It's not enough to have a good idea. You have to have an amazing idea that is going to, in order for us to sort of move past what we've promised and work on that to switch gears.
I mean, it's also the type of thing where I like to give Cryptomancer is our tournament guy, so it's the type of thing where I personally have like all this list of like little things that sometimes I have some time and I get to here and there, so we can give him lists of all these little tournament things, and who knows, maybe he's just like, I don't feel like working on Guild Wars now because I worked on it all day nonstop. I'm gonna take some time and do a max deck tournament or something. I don't know. So we'll try to make like little like extra little things to throw in list for him.
Do you plan to push the decentralization of Splinterlands via nodes before or after the land expansion? And do you have already ideas how to incentivize node providers?
Oh, I mean, if he means like the ability for third parties to run their own Splinterlands nodes, I don't expect that anything like that to be before the land expansion. The land expansion is going to be like our real primary focus until that's all done and out. Yeah, I mean, it's really all a matter of like what players want, what we can do. Obviously we need to make enough money to keep the business going, and people are putting in a lot for the land, and so we need to deliver on that. And I think doing anything other than that, would not be good to the people that bought it.
Ryan 600 is asking, how will the end of the land lottery sale work? Say if there's only one track left, if people have single plot lottery ticket versus others that have one track lottery ticket.
I mean, if there's only one track left, then if it draws someone who entered with one track, then they'll get that in the land sale. The lottery will be done. If it draws someone that has less than one tract, then it will give them that, and then only people who have fewer than that will be available. But I mean, it really doesn't matter. Like, as soon as one plot is chosen in the lottery, that will basically make one tract and one whole region unavailable, right? And then as more plots are added or tracts, it sort of fills up until it gets over 1,000 total, and it would spill into the next region. So yes, at the end, when it gets down to it, like once it's less than one tract left, then only plot entries will be able to be drawn. But the actual ordering doesn't really matter whether it's drawn first or last. So everyone will still have an equal chance. I mean, I guess there might be slightly more chance if you buy one plot, but since there's only one entry per account, like if you buy one plot, you won't get the discounts that you would get if you get a higher amount. And there's only one entry per account. So in general, I'm confident that it's a pretty fair mechanism for everyone to have an equal chance of being drawn and get their land.
Scott is asking, how long do you implement renting cards directly throughout the site instead of through Peak Monsters? Is it way down the to-do list?
It's not. It's definitely not way down on the to-do list. It's high on the to-do list, and it was discussed today. Me and Aggroed. I've also, and it's not just a matter of implementing renting cards on the Splinterlands site. I've also been working with Jarvie a lot to come up with a whole better mechanism for card renting than we have now, and just take care of a lot of the problems that Peak Monsters has run into with the so. There's a plan to kind of revamp the whole card rental system as far as it's handled on the blockchain and the contracts around it. And then at that time, it would also be added into the Splinterlands site on the market page. There'd be like a rental. You could switch between rentals versus purchases. But then there'll still be a lot of options for third-party sites like Peak Monsters to add additional features and options that the Splinterlands site doesn't add, so they can earn their fees that way.
All right, that's what I wanted to do. Is Nate unmuted?
No, I don't know. How do you unmute him? Or Nate can also. He's right here. Nate, you can also just share stuff in chat with while being muted.
What do I do?
I don't know. Like he's muted himself.
You're
Here.
on a Mac. I need
you right click
this.
Oh, server mute.
Yeah, that's
okay. Nate, right. You're unmuted.
Nate, can you say hi?
Well, I think he might be muted on his end.
He is muted on his end. He's gonna.
Or just post pictures and don't say hi either way. When's the next AMA?
Oh, that's
do you want to do a
question.
different time? Do a morning one.
Yeah, we could do a morning one. My Friday is pretty free next morning.
I mean, I should be free, but let me check here.
Oh, there you go.
Now it's not me typing.
Yeah, we can do a morning like 9 a.m. Eastern.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, let's do that. We'll do 9 a.m. And Nate, can you say hi?
Hi.
It shows you're unmuted, Nate.
He'll just share a couple things. Oh, are you?
I don't have sound on. That's.
Hello, Nate.
Can you hear me?
Nate turned into a robot, for us at least.
Yeah, that did not come in loudly or clearly.
Well, luckily Nate shines the most with his visual presentations, so just go ahead and share what you have.
All right, so crap. Let me see. My Discord's going wonky.
Nate's a robot. All right. Well, Nate, are you sharing some stuff or did you drop?
I just got bad internet right now, it looks like, but I'm trying to upload something.
Are these things that Matt or I have seen yet?
I don't see anything.
I don't know.
Kind of upset that.
Here, let me.
Oh my God. This is the worst.
Nate, we're gonna need to buy you better internet or something.
That's terrible. All right, you guys are brutal. All right, I think we'll bring this thing to a close. Nate can go share the images, and whenever they upload, they upload. Anyways, I just want to add. Oh, no, that is not. Anyways, hey, I've seen a bunch of new players coming in. I've seen everybody being very kind and welcoming to them. I've seen people interrupt conversations to say hi, and I continue to be super proud of this group and being able to, guide new audience members here. I have another big community that I'm talking to, actually a couple that I'm hoping will come join the Splinterlands in a variety of different ways. So maybe we'll see even newer faces than we have been seeing. And, thanks for being kind to them, and thanks for making this a welcoming place to them. And, it's a pleasure to be, part of this community, and it's an honor to be able to say, these are some great guys. So come visit us. So anyways, thanks for that. We're going to meet back up at 9 a.m. on next Friday.
The 20th.
On the 20th.
9 a.m. Eastern, which should be 2 p.m. UTC.
Okay. Anything else you want to add before we call it?
Rock on.
All right. Thank you, guys. You guys have a great day, and thank you, Chris, for recording.